Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:00 p.m. and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Here.
Mr. Helmer? Ms. Konick?
Here.
Ms. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Seidel?
Here.
Ms. Spindler?
Here.
Mr. Zelinski?
Mr. Palmer said he is not available this evening. So then, can I have a roll call to recess to close session, a motion?
I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, 1C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider A, the discussion approval of superintendent contract renewal, B, the approval of closed session minutes of December 9th, and C, the employment, performance, and compensation matters pertaining to staff.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Crosby and a second by Mr. Seidel. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. Seidel?
Yes.
Ms. Konick?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Ms. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
We're moving into closed session, return to open session around 7:00.
That's what, it's like I called them a lot before, and I'm like, what's going on talk about? And she didn't answer, so I'm like, okay, well, that's good. But now I remember my sister has she wanted a printer. My sister has a printer, so.
Holidays were good, I assume?
Yeah, we were good. How about you?
Yeah, good.
Is Rachel back in Madison? She's going back tomorrow. Okay. Now I'm feeling depressed. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But I suddenly realized, well, I keep getting on there.
Hello. Hello, how are you? Hello. This is at like a public place?
My garage. My father.
Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Doing good. How about you? No,
Good, thank you.
place.
Your holidays were good?
Yeah, Christmas was good.
Good. You're getting ready for semester exams?
Yeah, starts on Wednesday.
All right.
I'm working on them.
We don't usually play dice at every board meeting.
No?
Just the good ones.
It is now 7:12 PM, and we are returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise. And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the Waukesha Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. Up, we have recognitions. The WIAA D2 2024 Girls 1 Meter Diving 5th place, Emily Wagner.
Yeah, so I'd like to start by introducing coaches Perry Perkins, who is the swim and dive head coach, and Garrett Ganwa, head dive coach. And they're here to introduce Emily.
Yeah, I will start. I've been coaching Emily for the past 3 years. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to coach Emily. She's a fantastic athlete and person to get to work with. I could be up here for 20 minutes and have nothing but good things to say about Emily. She four-time state qualifier and podiumed her last 2 years, placing fifth both times. And getting to work with Emily is very, very nice when you have an athlete who shows up with that much determination to put in effort, to want to get better, to not give up when there are hard things that get in the way of that. Emily is not just, a very skilled athlete, but is also a very intelligent student. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone at 18 who has the intellect and emotional intelligence that Emily does, not being able to just manage, her own emotions, but being able to be supportive to her teammates when they are having difficult times, and supportive even to people who aren't her teammates and other athletes that we have at dive meets, being there for them and supportive to them. It's super awesome to see as a coach. You can't ask for much more. Getting to work with Emily during the past 3 years, it's been awesome to see the growth that she's had, from just kind of working on little things to now tackling big things that it didn't feel like I even needed to be there for. Emily truly is going to, I think, achieve a lot of great things, not just, now, but in whatever comes next in her future.
Good evening, members of the board, parents, and guests. It's my privilege to recognize the exceptional accomplishments of Emily Wagner, a graduating senior and captain of the New Berlin Eisenhower Girls Swim and Dive Team. Emily's high school career exemplifies our district slogan, Committed to Excellence, as both an outstanding athlete and dedicated leader. I'm sorry, it's expect excellence. Same. Emily has made her mark on as one of the most accomplished divers in our school's history. Over the 4 years she's competed at the WIA State Swim and Dive Championship, finishing in the top 10 every year. She placed 10th as a freshman, 9th as a sophomore, and achieved back-to-back fifth-place finishes her junior and senior years. In 2023, she was a part of the conference championship team, where she delivered her highest score ever, a remarkable 379 points, further cementing her legacy of excellence. Emily's leadership extended far beyond her individual success. Aside from her position of captain, she played a pivotal role in guiding the team to a sectional runner-up title as well. Her influence also helped secure conference relay championships in 2022. This year, she had a perfect 6-0 dual meet record, which speaks to her dominance and consistency, but also it reflects her ability to motivate her team and lead by example. Emily's contributions weren't limited to the diving board. She demonstrated versatility as a swimmer, legally competing in all 4 strokes. For those of you who don't know, that's actually a huge deal. Divers never swim. Her energy, optimism, and encouragement lifted her teammates to the highest level of performance. She embodies the qualities we value most: hard work, leadership, and sportsmanship. As Emily graduates, her achievements will be remembered, and her leadership will continue to inspire those who follow. She represents the very best of what it means to be a student athlete at New Berlin Eisenhower. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Emily: "You're either good at sports or you're smart." Well, in her case, she's both. Please join me in congratulating Emily on her extraordinary career and wishing her all the best in her future endeavors. Thank you.
Emily, congratulations. We would like to hear from you, though. What are your plans?
I'm hoping to attend UW-Madison, studying pharmacy. I'm going to major in biochem, and then hopefully it's a path of distinction in psychiatric pharmacy. So I'd like to work somewhere like Rogers or like in a hospital, in a clinical setting, doing pharmacy.
Are you going to continue diving there?
No.
They have,
I'm not.
They have a swim club there.
They do have a club
Okay.
team, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
And-
thought about it.
Yeah. I know people that graduated this past spring are on it, so.
Yeah. Some of my old teammates.
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Next is privilege of the floor. Do we have any this evening?
No.
None. Okay. President's message, just welcome everybody back from break. I hope everyone had a very nice Christmas and holidays and a Happy New Year. Then we have our administrative team report.
I will defer to the items on the agenda, and so I'll hand it over to Oliver, your New Berlin West student representative.
We're back from winter break and starting the new year strong. As New Berlin West students are choosing their schedules for next year, there have been many opportunities to help plan for students' future. ACP Night was hosted at West and had many presentations to help students figure out jobs and fields that interest them in the future. During Flex, we had a post-secondary presentation where New Berlin West alumni talked to 11th and 12th graders about their journey after high school and how we can prepare for our future while in high school. Even though students at West are working extremely hard going into finals week, many classes are still having fun. Students in Applied Retail Operations and Management rolled out a new Christmas-themed menu for Vern's Village in the weeks leading up to Christmas break. This included a build-your-own hot chocolate bar and Grinch punch. AP Bio students are breeding flies to see how genetics are passed down by generation. And anatomy and physiology students got to dissect hearts in order to get an in-depth understanding of the heart's structure. Many clubs are also having success with creating holiday spirit and competing in competitions. The National Honor Society hosted a door decorating competition where more than 20 doors were decorated, and a student-voted tournament decided the winner. This helped the hallways get decked out for a holiday spirit. New Berlin West SALU hosted holiday dress-up days during the week for even more holiday spirit. Members of HOSA and DECA competed at Kettle Moraine High School over the weekend, where 18 members of the New Berlin DECA team qualified for the state tournament in Lake Geneva. Our sports team are also having an extremely competitive season. Boys basketball have been having an impressive season, with an 8-3 current record and a home game against Waukesha South tomorrow night at 7. Girls wrestling is also having a record-breaking season, with 4 individual championships and their first team title victory in program history at the 20-team Holiday Invite Tournament. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have the consent agenda, which includes notice, the approval of minutes of the board meeting of December 9th, the approval of the West Allis, West Milwaukee citizen petition to alter school district boundaries, and approval of the long-range library plan for 2024-2025. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration?
I would like to see the long-range library plan of 24, 25. I don't know what that is, so.
Yes, so annually, we bring these plans for board approval, and this is just our updated plan. I did also want to mention that while we do have one lone petitioner from West Allis, West Milwaukee, we are expecting another large petition for detachment, and we will provide more details as we received the official petition, Patrick?
No, we haven't received that yet.
So just, we'll approve this one for now, just because we've already received it. And again, should we receive the one that we expect to receive, we'll bring that forward for the board. Again, we recommend approval of it, as we have in the past.
Okay, do I have a motion for all of them together, or does anybody want to pull one out for a separate motion?
We can do it all together.
Okay, so then do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Connick to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion?
So what does the long-range library plan all entail? Is that like what the library is used for? Like what is the?
Yeah, so generally speaking, they just, so because we receive common school funds,
Yeah.
which is basically funding that can be used within a library and beyond, we are expected to provide library plans on an annual basis. You do have a copy of our current plan in your packet that really just talks about our current framework, our current status of where we are. So there's several different pieces: curriculum instruction and assessment, personalized professional learning, infrastructure, budget and resources, community partnerships, and then how we handle data and privacy, collaborative leadership, the use of the space and time, and then current status related to literacy. And then they've highlighted the 3 specific goals that they're focused on within the libraries. We currently have 2 librarians in the district with that help manage. One manages the a high school and a couple of elementaries and so on, and they're supported by library assistants at each of the elementary schools.
I mean, it seems very high level. There's nothing very specific in it, so. I guess I was expecting something more specific when I read that. But I guess if this is just what's required by the DPI and
It is.
it's flexible enough.
Mhm.
Any other discussion or questions about it? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to our regular agenda. First, we have discuss, approve the outdoor facility task force update recommendations.
So I'll have the chair of the task force, Dave Cody, come up and provide an update based on some of the happenings related to the task force.
Hello. It's been a month since I was here last. It was December 9th. And since then, we've had a lot of different conversations that I just wanted to bring you up to speed on. We've been working very closely with the New Berlin United Athletic Foundation, NBUAF. And then also we've been having conversations with the Education Foundation and really just trying to figure out how all three different entities can work together in order to move this possible project forward. Tonight, I'm just going to give you a couple of those updates and then talk about some of the next steps. As mentioned, we've had a few meetings with the NBUAF back shortly after our last board meeting on December 11th. We brought in a representative from Abundant Philanthropy. His name is Jason Perry. He has worked with the foundation in the past. And essentially, he just wanted to share information with that group, as well as Ron. He was there as well. Thanks for attending that, Ron. And really just so that everyone could learn about what a feasibility study and a well screen were, and then what are some of the other aspects of a capital campaign, which are all part of the process that we'd have to go through in order for this project to be a success. And we'll get a little bit into that a little bit further. But and then just recently we met with them again, and we kind of talked about again what are some of the roles and responsibilities of all these different entities. A lot of acronyms up there. Sorry for that. But we did talk about and discuss the overall scope of the project or the potential project. Discussed the idea of what came up last time at the last meeting, the possible engaging of a fundraising consultant for the project. And then some of the ideas that they brought to us were talking about the additional district funding that we've also talked about at this meeting back in December. While this is all going on, we also have had some conversations with the Education Foundation, and we did discuss how they could partner with the NBUAF. And one of the things that the foundation, and we've talked about this a little bit over the last several weeks and months, dating back to when the task force started, one of the things that the Education Foundation can provide the NBUAF is all the financial pieces and aspects of a nonprofit organization. The NBUAF doesn't have that capacity right now. They're not set up as a 501c3. They don't have, they aren't a taxable entity or anything like that. So they don't have all those pieces that the foundation already does have in place. There's things that they couldn't do if they wanted to, like apply for a raffle license and some of those other pieces that are essential for fundraising down the road, just because they don't have that structure yet. So one of the things that we've discussed with them is that if they were to work with the Education Foundation, the foundation can simply set up a fund for them within the foundation itself, similar to what it already does for several of the other groups and organizations throughout the district, some of the scholarship funds. So essentially, the foundation would be holding their money and collecting it for them, and they would be, Julie and the foundation would be doing all of the annual reporting and all the things that it already does, it has to do, and she could just bring that fund into the fold, and really it'd be a lot easier for them. From my understanding is that they've agreed to partner together in that way, because they do want to work with the foundation, they want to work with the district, so it's exciting that they were able to have that come to that mutual understanding on how to work together. We've also discussed with the foundation, and we have another meeting coming up in a couple days, but the idea of co-funding between the district and the foundation, the feasibility study and the well screen, so that there's a shared, skin in the game from both entities as far as wanting to get this done and moving the project forward. So that's something that I believe their board, the foundation board, is going to be discussing and possibly voting on as early as Wednesday. Let me just talk a little bit about what a feasibility study and a well screen are. And for Ron, this will be a little bit of a repeat, but these are just some of the things that we learned from that third-party consultant, Jason. It would be conducted by a third-party consultant. We don't do the feasibility study ourselves. We don't do the well screening, nor does the foundation. We do provide a lot of the information and data and the contacts for those, well, all of them. So we are working in conjunction with that consultant, but we're not doing the work ourselves. The feasibility study itself helps determine the readiness of for a the possibility of a campaign. It kind of gives you an idea if people are interested in this, if there's an appetite for it, if there is some capacity of giving that we could tap into to make sure that the project is a success. The feasibility study also really works on defining the project and developing the desired outcomes. You know, how big of a project do we want to do? How small of a project? What are all the different steps that we would have to go through in order to get to the final outcome? There's a lot of engagement with key stakeholders, and that's done through a lot of interviews, one-on-one interviews, phone calls, surveys type things, a lot of different ways in which the consultant reaches out to the stakeholders. And then really it's about creating that early support and getting people excited about and engaged for the project as it goes on over the months and years. A well screening is a little different, again, still conducted by a third-party consultant. And that, again, is kind of determining that capacity for a campaign. And that's kind of, that's where they start to look at the giving history of a community, of the stakeholders, the key stakeholders. You know, are there individuals who donate to other causes that may be interested in donating to this cause or being a part of this cause instead? They identify the major gift prospects. They prioritize fundraising efforts, and then there's that validation of the campaign. Like, this really can't happen if we put in the work to it. Some next steps, moving past that, the district and the foundation, again, we're going to move forward with that well screen and feasibility study with a split cost that the total percentages haven't been determined yet. I'm hoping to get an answer on that on Wednesday. The screening and the study take about 3+ months to complete, so it is a process. It's not something that's done within a couple weeks. There is a lot of information that needs to be gathered, a lot of data that needs to be shared, and then, like I said, those interviews take time and really building that case for the project. Ultimately, the results of that, the screening and the study really determine if there is an appetite and if there is, how big of a project can we talk about? Is it something that maybe, this community, it can ultimately raise, $10, $15 million? That's the high end of what we were talking about at the last meeting of all the projects we want to do. Perhaps the study and the feasibility or the well screen demonstrate a much lower range that we can get to, and so that again that would lessen the scope or shrink the scope of that project. We just went out on that screen. The results of the screening and the study again also would help determine if there is a need and a possible path forward with working with a consultant moving forward, because if we're talking about these very large dollar amounts, that's something that I think the district, from what we've talked about in the foundation and the NBUAF, it's all something that having someone who has experience in running this type of campaign would be beneficial to all of us. In the interim, while we're doing that study and that screening, or while the consultant is, we also need to have the board and the administration need to figure out exactly what is possible in terms of what we can commit to the project. That obviously would lower that fundraising cost down the road. We have talked about the $2 million that we've allotted in the long-range facilities plan for the new tracks at each school. And then we talked about a little bit at the last meeting is there potential for more from the district in order to, like a fundraising match of some sort to, again, lower that overall fundraising total when we're looking at the big picture. That's it, but we'll go back to this screen and turn it over.
Yeah, so I did want to, there were several questions raised by several board members at the last meeting. And these are just to kind of highlight some of the responses. So one of the questions was, you know, how are the consultants contracted? You know, is it backloaded or is there money up front? There's a monthly retainer that's typically done with the current consultant that not only the foundation has used, but also I believe one of the members on the athletic foundation, they have worked with Jason Perry in the past. He had quoted rates when we met with him that a typical consultant could range anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000 monthly. Now, what I want to share with you is this. We're moving forward with the feasibility study and the well screen to determine whether we would even move forward at all with any sort of campaign, first of all. Secondarily, we have confirmed that if the district were to get into some sort of involvement with a consultant, Jason's company would charge us the lowest rate, which would be that $6,000 per month rate. Note that while we enter into this feasibility study and the well screen, we would come back and talk to the board in more detail if we were to commit to that month-to-month retainer with a consultant. One of the questions that I believe has been raised so far is, you know, who would cover those costs? And as of right now, we believe that while the district would if we were to enter into an agreement with them, we would do that on a month-to-month basis, and there's a 30-day withdrawal for either party. But those dollars would be regenerated back as part of the fundraising. So, like, for example, if it's 6,000 times however many months, let's just say 10 months, you know, 60,000, we would recoup that as part of the fundraising efforts. So it would be a net zero outcome for the district, or at least that's what, you know, what could happen. Again, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because, again, we may not even get to that point where we even enter an agreement with a consultant if the data from the well screen and the feasibility study come back saying it's not going to happen. Another question that was raised was, can the foundation and the task force share the consultant? Just note that our foundation, so Julie and our foundation, have utilized a consultant in the past, and they specifically used Abundant Philanthropy, Jason Perry, for their wealth screen. One question you may have is, why can't we just reuse that wealth screen? It's because it was for a different scope of work. That wealth screen was really targeted on what our current foundation is targeting, which is scholarships, mini grants, and co-curricular activities, not to the level or the breadth of what this potential campaign would be. You know, another question that was raised by the board was, can Julie assist the task force with fundraising? The answer was that Julie does not have the time or capacity to commit to this level of campaign because she is fully committed to the work that she's already doing, which is extremely successful right now. Those were the specific questions that were asked by the board. Ron, anything else you'd like to add based on, yeah, thanks, Ron, for being at that meeting on behalf of the school board. But were there any other questions or anything else that, you know, maybe between Dave or I and Ron can answer related to these efforts at this time? Or Ron, anything else to add at this time? Yep.
So what exactly are we approving tonight? To move forward with the wealth screen?
Well, our plan is to move forward. We're really not seeking approval for anything
Okay.
at this time. But we would be asking for your approval at some point, once we get the data back from the well screen and the feasibility study, to enter into some sort of, well, first of all, understand the scope that we're entering in, and whether we're going to use a consultant to do that.
So do we need to do a motion for anything tonight then?
I don't think so. I mean, if you want to, you can.
So,
would-
Abundant Philanthropy, we've worked with them before.
Yes, very successful, yeah.
On what project did we work with them?
Again, they did the well screen for our education foundation.
Okay. And have they worked on other projects like this with other school districts?
Ron?
Yes, they have. They have worked with nonprofits as well as other campaigns that had, that needed it,
And
the scope of work.
much larger to much less.
Okay. And the well screen, what is the output of that? I mean,
Yeah, let me just go back to that. So it really, the two pieces are very different, but also they have some similarities. So the well screen really is going to tell us what is the fundraising capacity of the community. I'm sorry, and also the fundraising capacity of those specifically that are interested in this campaign. So again, you look at the amount of I really struggle with this word, philanthropic giving. If I say it real slow, I can get it. The type of giving that our community members are already doing. There isn't anything necessarily similar to this project because there isn't, we haven't done anything like this in the past. But there may be individuals who have given to, let's say, United Way or pick a different big campaign that you hear about regularly. We would be able to understand what they're giving to those organizations, and then see if there's interest in bringing them to our campaign.
okay. And do they also help as part of this initial interaction with grants and identifying where we can?
Yeah, absolutely. I should say this, not yet. So that's part of what they do after the well screen and after the feasibility study. If we were to bring on a consultant, then there are other steps that they would undertake. So I think Ron could, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, but they do help outlay the entire campaign, and they talk about where these areas are, like what a campaign will look like, and what's the timeline, and who's responsible for what. How can we recover some grant dollars? What grants are out there? What would our naming rights? And we have a history of that already, so that's a piece that we may not need as much help with. But there is that piece of what kind of naming rights opportunities are there for these companies and individuals who may be interested. So that's all part of the after to see how we do on the screening and the study first. But those are some of the things that a consultant would do beyond that.
Based on the information that they gave us as part of their presentation, they take care of basically almost 100% of the fundraising. Based on a 24-month campaign, it would result in either $140,000 or a $240,000 commitment. So depending on what the wealth screen says, if this is something that anyone wants to move forward with, that's potential that it would be about 24 months. But again, the wealth screen will tell us whether there's even a feasibility of it.
Any other questions? I won't do a motion unless somebody really wants one. Okay, well then we can move on to the next topic.
Yeah, and then just know that we will come back with all that data, probably actually have them come and present to you with us.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything to early mid-spring at a minimum, so it'll be a little bit while we go through this process. Hopefully. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next item is discuss approve open enrollment seat projections for 2025-2026 school year.
So we have to do this on an annual basis prior to February 1, using the same formula we have used the last several years To determine our open enrollment seats, we are projecting no open enrollment seats for the 2025-2026 school year, which you have attached in board docs, which in turn gives us 0 special education open enrollment seats. Regardless, please note that based on our current policy, we continue to increase our open enrollment in students based on the sibling guarantee and the currently enrolled student guarantee. And then also based on our current policy, we'll continue to maintain a waiting list. So we recommend approval of the 0 open enrollment seats and special education seats as presented.
Do I have a motion for 0 open enrollment seats and 0 special education seats for the
Motion to
school year?
approve.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Mr. Seidel, a second by Ms. Konick to approve. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And then we have a couple of first reads. Policy revisions for semi-annual Neola Update 34-1. Also for the EDGAR policy updates. Are there any questions before the next meeting? Do you have any questions right now on any of them? Okay, so next meeting will be the second read and voting at that point. And in the meantime, don't forget to send any questions to Mr. Garza before then. All right. Then we have a couple of motions from closed session.
I move to approve the superintendent contract extension through June 30th, 2027.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Crosby and a second by Ms. Konick to approve the superintendent contract extension. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next one.
I move to improve employment services report as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Spindler and a second by Ms. Crosby to approve the employment services report. The employment performance and compensation report. I'm sorry. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion passes. Was it too sloppy? Do we need to redo that one? Okay. Then we have our future meetings and dates. We have board meetings generally held the second and fourth Mondays beginning at 7:00 p.m. in Conference Room E at district offices unless noted otherwise. So our next meeting is January 27th, and there's one February 10th and one February 24th. Other important events and dates, January 17th is the end of the quarter. January 20th is MLK Day, which is also a staff professional learning day. There is no school. And February 17th is also staff professional learning day, no school. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Mr. Zelinski to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.